Have you ever been so obsessed with something that it consumed your entire life? An idea? A goal? A person? Or maybe a giant white whale? Today, we read diving deep into one of the greatest and most misunderstood novels ever written. Herman Melville, Zest asterisk, Moby-Dick asterisk. Forget what you think you know about a long, boring book about whaling. This is a story of epic revenge, madness, and a man who will stop at nothing to hunt down the monster that haunts his every waking moment. So grab your harpoons and let's set sail on the literary high seas. Our story begins with one of the most famous opening lines in all of literature. Call me Ishmael. Ishmael is our narrator, a young man feeling a damp, drizzly November in his soul. He's bored, restless, and yearns for adventure. So he decides to do what any sensible 19th century American adventurer would do: sign up for a whaling voyage. He travels to the port of New Bedford, Massachusetts, the whaling capital of the world. It's a bustling, gritty place, filled with sailors from every corner of the globe. In a crowded inn, Ishmael is forced to share a bed with a man he's never met. This isn't just any man. It's Pequod, a heavily tattooed Polynesian prince and a master harpooner. At first, Ishmael is terrified, but he soon discovers that beneath Pequod's intimidating exterior is a kind, noble, and loyal soul. They become fast friends, a true brotherhood that transcends culture and background. It's a beautiful, heartwarming start to our journey, a reminder of the human connection that can be found in the most unlikely of places. Together, Ishmael and Pequod decide to ship out from the nearby island of Nantucket aboard a vessel called the Pequod. As they prepare to board, they hear whispers and strange rumors about the ship's captain, a man named Ahab. They're told he's a moody, mysterious figure, a grand, ungodly, godlike man who lost his leg in a recent encounter with a whale. The ship's owners, two seemingly pious Quakers, seem unusually hesitant to talk about him. A strange shadowy prophet named Elijah even warns Ishmael and Pequod to stay away from the Pequod and its cursed captain. But adventure calls, and they ignore the warnings, signing their names to the ship's articles. Once at sea, the crew is introduced. It's a microcosm of humanity: the sensible and cautious first mate Starbuck, the cheerful and easygoing second mate Stubb, and the aggressive, thrill-seeking third mate Flask. The harpooners are just as diverse: Pequod, the stoic Native American Tashtego, and the giant African Dagu. For days, Captain Ahab remains hidden in his cabin, a phantom presence looming over the ship. The crew goes about their duties, hunting whales for their oil, the lifeblood of the 19th century economy. The suspense builds. Where's this captain? Then, one morning, Ahab finally appears on the quarterdeck. The crew is stunned. He's a towering, scarred figure, his face etched with a look of fierce determination. A prosthetic leg, carved from the polished jawbone of a whale, is planted firmly on the deck. The air crackles with intensity. Ahab gathers the entire crew. He nails a Spanish gold doubloon to the main mast and declares that this prize will go to the man who first spots a specific whale. Not just any whale, but a legendary giant white sperm whale, known to sailors across the oceans as Moby-Dick. This is the whale, Ahab reveals, that took his leg. But it took more than that. It took a piece of his soul. His eyes burn with a furious fire as he describes Moby-Dick as the embodiment of all evil, a malicious intelligence hiding behind a pasteboard mask. The crew, caught up in Ahab's charismatic and frightening passion, gets swept into his quest. They cheer, they drink, and they swear an oath to hunt Moby-Dick to the ends of the earth. Only Starbuck, the voice of reason, objects. He sees the madness in Ahab's plan. "Vengeance on a dumb brute!" he exclaims. "That's blasphemy!" But his protests are drowned out by the crew's fervor. The Pequod's commercial mission to hunt whales for oil is now forgotten. It has become a vessel of personal revenge. As the Pequod sails through the Atlantic, the Pacific, and the Indian Oceans, the novel transforms. It's not just an adventure story anymore. Melville takes us on deep dives into every imaginable aspect of whaling. We get chapters on the classification of whales, the history of harpoons, the process of rendering blubber into oil, and even the legal complexities of who owns a whale when multiple ships are in pursuit. These might sound like digressions, but they serve a purpose. They immerse us completely in this world, showing us the immense scale and danger of this industry. Through Ishmael's curious eyes, the whale becomes more than just an animal. It's a symbol of the vast, untamable power of nature. The hunt for Moby-Dick becomes an all-consuming obsession. Ahab ignores everything else. They encounter other whaling ships, and Ahab's only question is, "Have you seen the white whale?" He dismisses ships in distress and ignores profitable hunting grounds. His monomania infects the entire voyage. He even has his own secret crew of expert harpooneers, led by the mysterious Fedallah, who emerge from the ship's hold as if from a nightmare, further sealing the ship's dark fate. There are moments of calm and beauty. The sailors bond, they work, they marvel at the wonders of the ocean. But the shadow of Ahab's obsession is always present. Starbuck repeatedly tries to reason with him, begging him to turn back for the sake of their families and their own lives. But Ahab is beyond reason. He sees his quest as his destiny. In one powerful scene, he looks at the gold coin on the mast and sees his own reflection, a man trapped by his own single-minded purpose. Finally, after months of searching, they reach the Pacific hunting grounds where Moby-Dick is known to roam. The tension is unbearable. The sea grows agitated, sharks circle the ship, and the mood on board is dark and foreboding. Then the cry rings out. There she blows, a hump like a snow hill. It is Moby-Dick. The final confrontation lasts for 3 days. It's a brutal, relentless chase. On the first day, Moby-Dick attacks Ahab's boat, splitting it in two and tossing the men into the water. Ahab is saved, but his whalebone leg is snapped. On the second day, the whale again attacks, disabling 2 more boats and tangling their lines, causing chaos. The Pequod's own mast is damaged. Fedallah, Ahab's prophetic guide, is dragged to his death, fulfilling a prophecy that he would die before Ahab, but that Ahab would see him again. On the third day, the crew is exhausted and terrified, but Ahab is more determined than ever. He spots Moby-Dick again and sees Fedallah's body lashed to the whale's side by harpoon lines. This is the horrifying fulfillment of the prophecy. Starbuck begs him one last time to give up. Moby-Dick seeks thee not. It is thou that madly seekest him, but Ahab is deaf to his pleas. He lowers his boat for the final time. In a climactic fury, Moby-Dick rams the Pequod itself. The ship begins to sink, taking the entire crew with it. In his final moments, Ahab hurls his harpoon at the whale, screaming, "To the last I grapple with thee. From hell's heart I stab at thee." The line from the harpoon wraps around Ahab's neck, and as the whale dives, it yanks the captain from his boat, dragging him down into the depths. The Pequod is swallowed by a vortex, and the entire crew, save one, vanishes into the sea. Who is the sole survivor? Our narrator, Ishmael. He was thrown from a boat during the chaos and only survived by clinging to Quickaig's coffin, which had been built when his friend was near death, but was then cocked to serve as a life buoy. He floats alone on the vast, indifferent ocean for a day and a night, the orphan of the tragedy, until he is rescued by another passing ship. So, what does it all mean? Moby-Dick is more than just a sea story. It's a profound exploration of obsession, of humanity's struggle against nature, and the dangerous allure of seeing evil where there may only be indifference. Is Moby-Dick a malicious monster or just an animal acting on instinct? Is Ahab a heroic figure fighting against a cosmic evil, or a madman who dooms his crew for his own selfish quest? Melville leaves these questions for us to answer. The book challenges us to look into the abyss and question our own obsessions and the white whales we chase in our own lives. It's a complex, challenging, but incredibly rewarding masterpiece. It's a story that stays with you long after you've finished it. Thank you so much for joining me on this epic voyage. If you enjoyed this deep dive, please hit that like button, subscribe for more literary adventures, and let me know in the comments what you think about Ahab's quest. Was he a hero or a villain? See you next time.